If you identify with being capable, ambitious, responsible, reliable, and if you're a corporate professional, leader, entrepreneur, or do any type of creative work, this video is for you. And in this video, I am going to share why women who identify this way is creatively exhausted, maybe feel creatively empty. And I'm going to introduce some things that you may have never heard of before, like the term creative rest. And before you click off, this is not just for artists and painters. If you are a corporate professional, leader, entrepreneur, you are creative every single day. And I bet you don't even know it, or you don't even think of your work as being creative. So let me just share with you. If you are a leader, if you're leading a team or you're leading projects, you're using creativity. If you are managing teams, tasks, projects, you're using creativity. If you are problem solving, which I know you solve problems every single day, you're using creativity. If you're negotiating in any type of way, you're using creativity. And the list goes on and on and on. All of that work, while it is not artistic creativity, it's applied creativity. And you are using it every single day. And when you do not fill that cup in the way that you are being drained from that cup, it often leads to exhaustion or just constant tiredness and you not really understanding the why. So at its basic, fundamental definition, creativity is the art, the way of finding solutions to problems using imagination, any way that doesn't exist, or you're finding a new way or a way to solve a problem. That's the like baseline definition of creativity. And in the work that I do, I've just come to notice this pattern over and over and over again with women who identify as being capable, ambitious, reliable, responsible, especially those in corporate America, often kind of, say either I'm not creative or I used to be creative and I'm not anymore. And both those things just aren't true because you're being creative every single day. And when you're feeling this, what I'm calling creative emptiness, it manifests as, just being tired and exhausted. And of course, I'm saying this in a way, of course, you're healthy, you're healthy, you don't have any medical conditions or anything like that that will cause you to have chronic exhaustion, then, we have to, think about those things too. So if you're healthy, you don't have any medical conditions, any chronic conditions that would lead to you being exhausted all the time, being creatively drained in that way and not pouring back into yourself can cause that. Because my grandmother used to always say, like, you can't pour from an empty cup. So when we're in these corporate settings and these jobs and we're excelling and finding a level of success, we often don't notice all of the ways that we're pouring, that we're in constant output, problem solving, holding things together, caring about the work that we do. Because as ambitious women, we often deeply care about the work that we do. The thing with that, though, is when you're in constant output, produce, execute, do all the things, and you're not taking anything in, caring for yourself, there becomes a huge imbalance there that can cause exhaustion, disconnection, and just poor care for yourself. That's how it showed up for me in my season when I was in corporate leadership and I was just doing all the things, running myself ragged. There were many things that played into my chronic exhaustion, but not caring for myself and not pouring back into myself in true ways that felt nourishing and restorative were some of the major things that impacted me. So what we're missing here is creative rest. And again, creative rest at its simple, most baseline definition is taking a break from problem solving and analyzing to take time to just play and lead with curiosity and imagination and wonder and joy and just doing something that pours back into you that doesn't require you to be responsible, produce anything, monetize anything. It is literally just for you to fill your cup back up, to have a little piece of joy in any part of the day that you desire. Because again, when you're in constant output mode and you're not taking time to take care of yourself, and when that goes on for day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, even just saying that sounds exhausting, doesn't it? If you've never heard of creative rest, let me know down in the comments. Or if you have heard of it, let me know down in the comments. And when I have these conversations with women like you, the conversation around time always comes into play. Like they get it when I explain it like this, these could be reasons that are causing you to feel, tired all the time, exhausted all the time, disconnected from yourself when you're working in this way. And they understand the idea of creative rest, but they're like, Erica, girl, when am I going to have time for this? And the thing is, you don't need a whole lot of time. It's not about finding hours and hours and hours in the day to care for yourself. It's about finding small pockets of time. I like to say start with 15 minutes. In my season, that's kind of how I started. So that's how I kind of share with other women to start with those 15-minute increments. It could be before you start your work day, during your break at some point of the day, if that's a lunch break, or in the evening when you wind down, just finding something, a small moment of joy for you that is just for you, that doesn't require you producing anything, that doesn't require you to be responsible about anything, but it's just for you to pour back into your cup. I like to do a variety of creative rest practices, and you really do have to find what works for you. But when you're starting with like 15-minute increments, what I like to suggest is listening to some type of music that makes you feel like we all have that song that when you hear it, no matter when, it either makes you want to dance or it makes you feel good. Playing that for 15 minutes. I'm Some of my creative rest activities are like old lady activities. Like I'm learning how to crochet because my mom crocheted for years, but I do cross stitch, and I have this cross stitch project that I've been doing for months and months and months. And I'll pick it up sometimes for 15 minutes and just do like a little 15-minute cross stitch. And because it really like brings me joy. And the thing is, I've been working on it for months because I don't have timeline or a deadline when I'm trying to finish it. It's just something that I like to do. So I pick it up when I feel like it, I put it down. I've also recently started puzzling, and that has been like so like relaxing and calming. But a creative rest practice can be anything that can bring you just small moments of joy. Last summer I started experimenting with mocktails at home because I don't drink, and that was super fun. Just it's almost anything that just allows you to play, that is something you're curious about. And I don't want you to think of this as a hobby or something else you have to do. That's not this. I want you to think of this as care for yourself, as restoration for yourself, as you kind of plugging yourself into the charger for just 15 minutes. And then when you start doing that, you kind of start to build on those practices, and then you can go into things that might take a little bit more time, like a 30-minute practice or a 1 hour practice or something like that. But as you're getting started, I always suggest just start with 15-minute practices, because when you're feeling this way, like when you're feeling tired and you're feeling exhausted or you're feeling disconnected from yourself, you don't need more motivation. You don't need more resilience. Oh, that word kind of triggers me, like, because I could do a whole video on that. Like the word resilience, especially the way people use it nowadays, it's almost like gives an undertone of push through or keep going no matter what. And I don't know, just with my own lived experiences, having burnout and chronic exhaustion. I don't know, resilience just, I know I went off on a tangent there, but resilience just triggers me a little bit. But you don't need that. Sometimes you just need a breath. You just need a moment. You just need some time to yourself. And let me tell you, if you don't make it for yourself, nobody else is going to make it for you. They're going to keep demanding, they're going to keep wanting, they're going to keep asking. So if you're not making this time for yourself, no one else will do it for you. So if you've just been feeling a little bit flat or a little bit meh or a little disconnected or tired or exhausted these days, you probably just need some creative rest. And it doesn't hurt to try it. It really doesn't hurt to try it. I will tell you that not only prioritizing rest as a whole, but prioritizing creative expression has just allowed me, my well being, my mental and physical health to just elevate in a way that I never expected. That's why I talk about these things, and hopefully, other women who are ready to just live life and do work in a different kind of way will identify with that. And oftentimes we find ourselves in situations, I know I did. If you've listened to my videos, you know, in this, I'm doing 100 days every day. We're on day 11 here. If you've listened to my other videos, you know, like basically I found myself in a situation where I was successful on paper, but I was beyond disconnected from myself and burnt out. So I was really pushed into defining what I wanted work and life to look like for me, outside of what the world or our communities or our families kind of tell us we should work and live. I had to find that out for myself. So when I found out that prioritizing rest in a truly restorative way beyond just physical rest, which is, you know, resting our bodies, you know, sleep, naps, those type of things, but really resting holistically and prioritizing some form of creative expression. Listen, life even during difficult times, just makes things just a little bit smoother, just a little bit calmer. Because when you're in that state of just constant exhaustion, even when you're still capable and functioning and doing a good job, you are just like deteriorating inside. Like you're not taking care of yourself, you're feeling disconnected, you're tired, you're exhausted. And the only way that you're going to be able to fix that is really choosing you, trusting what you're feeling, and making, intentional decisions to move forward and take care of yourself. But the first step is always awareness, noticing what you're feeling, knowing that it's true for yourself, trusting that it is true for yourself, and then taking small, tiny steps towards feeling better. And what I'm suggesting is starting with a little bit of creative rest, especially when you're in a space of, again, creatively pouring constantly and not creatively feeling. So, some questions that I want you to ask yourself is, what parts of me feel undernourished? Yep. I want you to ask yourself that, and be honest with yourself. Like, when you look around, when you log off on that computer for the day, when you sent that last client email, what parts of you feel undernourished after you've poured all day long? Also ask yourself, when was the last time you did something that wasn't for an outcome, that wasn't for monetization, that wasn't because like you had to do it? When was the last time you did something just for yourself, for play, for fun, for curiosity? And if you haven't done it in a while, make today your day. When I give these reflection questions, feel free to, reflect on them however feels best for you. If you're someone who journals, maybe you want to journal about it. If you want to just kind of ponder on it and think about it, if you want to leave yourself a voice note, but really kind of just think about these things. I call myself like a part-time journaler. I journal in seasons, particularly when I'm trying to work through something specific, or I have thoughts on something that I kind of want to like just purge out. But I have a girlfriend who like journals every single day as like a restorative practice for her. So just kind of, reflect on those questions, and also think about all of the ways that you're pouring and not feeling, because at the end of the day, like my grandmother said, you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to find time for rest. Today I'm talking about creative rest, but just for care, for personal care, and in a way that's truly restorative. I'm Erica Prevail, and I share daily conversations for ambitious women, helping them rework their relationship with ambition, capacity, rest, and creativity. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.